Since historic flooding plagued South Dakota in the late 1990s, Basin Electric TSM staff has been monitoring its towers to keep them out of the water. In 2016, a dry year seemed like the perfect time to begin a project to prevent flooding damage to the structures near Groton. But, as Gavin McCollum, Basin Electric Vice President of Engineering and Construction explains, projects like these don't always go as planned.
It took us a lot longer to get permits than we would have liked, and we didn't get started as soon as we wanted to. And so in late 2018, we started the project to build roads out to these structures, and it's all just like swampland. You know, even though there's no standing water, it's just mushy and swampy. So you had to build roads out to each structure, and then build up a berm around each structure, and then raise the extend concrete to protect the foundation. So we got started late, and we didn't get everything done that we wanted to in that 2018 time frame. We were crossing our fingers that it wouldn't flood in 2019, and it did. So it flooded in spring of 2019, and it flooded all last summer, and it kept flooding. Water kept rising. So basically I had to go back in and redo a lot of the work that we had done before, go in on those same roads, build them up higher, and get out to the structures, and then we're going to replace the structures. They were damaged over the winter. The water is higher now, and the road is higher that we're going to build, so we don't have the clearance that we need. So we actually have to replace those structures now. So Brad Wilkinson is working on that project to get that done, and we're hopeful that by the end of the summer we have done what we need to do to prevent anything further happening.
Further west near Mobridge, South Dakota, TSM staff is working on a project to repair a tower that fell over due to water and wind. A section of the line will either be rerouted, or a project similar to the one near Groton will need to be constructed. Basin Electric Manager of Transmission System Maintenance, Derek Johnson, and his team are the boots on the ground for each of these projects.
The construction crews that are used are really based in construction. Now the ones down there, they're more of like a dirt contractor, because really what we're trying to do is build roads out to the structures and then build up the structures. So now when it comes time to actually change out the structures, you know, once engineering and construction gets us the access, TSM will come in and actually rebuild the structures. So we'll come in and rebuild them at that point. But now the crews that are on the ground out there are not electrical crews, and that's kind of why we do have to go out there and make sure when they're working under an energized line that they understand what those clearances are. Supporting engineering construction, we had to take what's called a hotline order, an HLO, on the Leland Olds to Groton 345 kV line. And so what that means is there's no automatic reclosing on that transmission line, but it is energized during the construction work. So in order to support that, the construction crews had to kind of change their construction methods as well, because they couldn't use some of the larger equipment that was getting too close to the transmission line. And one of the other things that we're doing now as well is we're actually on site with the contractor doing periodic measurements to make sure that they are keeping those clearances. We've got certain clearances that the contractor has to stay away from an energized conductor, and so we're periodically doing those measurements as well. So as far as TSM goes, our major issues are access because of the water down in South Dakota and the continued rains, continued flooding. And so, you know, on our side of things, it's more, well, we can't get into this area because it's too wet. You know, so, you know, one of the things that we had to go do is we actually had to purchase a small boat to get out to some of these structures. They were completely surrounded by, you know, a mile of water. So, you know, those are some of the challenges that we're finding during the patrols, and those are some of the issues that we're trying to address.